This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Holy smoke. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard another day of egregious air quality sparked by those Canadian wildfires. If you're outside right now, you know what we're talking about. Correspondent Stephanie Gosk is outside right now on the streets of Manhattan.
This is only going to get worse over the course of the day. Right now, the air quality index is at 156. The forecast is that it's going up to 200. And that's not just unhealthy for small children and people with underlying conditions like asthma. That's unhealthy for everyone.
The Central New Yorkers tell Spectrum News the sky to them appears otherworldly.
Look around out here, breathe without feeling it a little bit.
A little bit. It looks weird, definitely.
Yeah.
Very weird. It's like almost like that the eclipse, only it's just a hazy eclipse out here.
All that smoke creating dangerous air in no fewer than 16 states. Pulmonologists say it's like breathing in secondhand smoke. New York State DEC Commissioner Amanda Lefton.
We're seeing longer fire seasons. We're seeing drier conditions across the country and in North America generally, and that can mean that we're seeing increased wildfire smoke.
Meteorologist Kevin Williams lets us know when conditions will improve coming up in his forecast. President Trump delivers a rare primetime address to the nation tonight from the White House. The speech will focus on new information regarding the 2020 election. Senate Majority Leader John Thune would rather look ahead, though, than behind.
I don't know what he's going to say. Only thing I can tell you is we are focused on the 2026 election. At least I am, and I think most of my colleagues are.
The 9 p.m. speech also expected to discuss what the White House describes as vulnerabilities in U.S. voting machines. It comes with less than 4 months to go before the November midterms. For the first time in 3 years, Iran has released an American citizen. That woman, who was banned from leaving Iran for almost 2 years, was let go yesterday. There are still 5 U.S. citizens being wrongfully detained by Tehran. As far as the war goes, President Trump says Iran has a decision to make.
We're doing really well with Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran is not happy right now. They want to settle so badly. They don't like what we're doing, and they do want to settle. We'll find out whether or not we settle with them or we just finish it off.
Meantime, a disturbing new photograph out of Iran shows the president lying in a coffin on a massive billboard. It's been erected in central Tehran. Iran's new supreme leaders vowed revenge for his late father, the former Ayatollah, who was killed in a U.S. missile strike 4 months ago. Catastrophic flooding continues to inundate Texas. Governor Greg Abbott.
We are dealing with and responding to a flood that is likely going to break records in Texas history.
NBC's Ryan Chandler has more from waterlogged Uvalde, Texas.
The city of Uvalde is walled off by water. The Leona River exploding overnight, overwhelming neighborhood streets. Roads are impassable here. We're also following an extremely concerning situation playing out at this hour along the Guadalupe River near Kerrville. I want to read directly from the National Weather Service, who tells us just in the last few minutes, a large and deadly flood wave is moving down the Guadalupe River, which they say is expected to reach a crest similar to those July 4th, 2025 catastrophic floods. So many people from here to the Hill Country worried they may not have a home to return to.
Ryan Chandler reporting today from the Texas Hill Country. On Capitol Hill, President Trump's former attorney, Todd Blanche, is sitting for a second day at his Senate confirmation hearing. His nomination to serve as the nation's attorney general is not a shoo-in, says correspondent Hallie Jackson.
And the question for Todd Blanche, did he do enough to get the support of all the Republicans in that committee room? And his answer is on everything from the handling of the Epstein case to the so-called anti-weaponization fund to how loyal he feels to President Trump. But at least one GOP senator is undecided, and just one GOP no vote in this committee could be enough to spell trouble for the now acting attorney general.
Blanche is testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee. War Secretary Pete Hegseth is adding screenings for testosterone testosterone levels as part of a soldier's periodic health assessment. He calls it a way to keep the troops on the leading edge of lethality. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines ages 30 and up will be affected by the policy change. Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to get the test. Hegseth also imposed new strict fitness standards for the military. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is not thrilled that so many far-left Democratic socialists were able to oust incumbent Democrats in primary elections this year.
I wasn't happy about people saying, let's spend a whole lot of money challenging Democrats. You want to do that, but don't think that that's something that is good for this year. Do it a year when we have the luxury of having the majority.
Former RNC chairman Michael Whatley.
The Democratic Party right now is a jailbreak to the left. When you have liberals like Nancy Pelosi are getting run over by the Democratic Socialists, I think it says a lot.
Democratic Socialists emerged victorious in nearly 40 federal and state primary elections this year. SpaceX preparing to launch another test flight of its massive Starship rocket. It'll be the 13th test for the spacecraft, which will be carrying next-generation Starlink satellites into orbit for the first time. Expect a blast-off later today from SpaceX's launch facility in Texas. The World Cup finale is all set for Sunday. Argentina came from behind yesterday to beat England 2-1 in Atlanta.
Messi driving in, Messi crossing back.
Argentina will square off against Spain for all the marbles in East Rutherford, New Jersey on Sunday. Kickoff for that match set for 3 p.m. on Fox. And a patient in Iowa has become the first in the country to receive a quadruple organ transplant, including retransplanted lungs. Northwestern Medicine says 36-year-old Elizabeth Worley got 2 donor lungs, a liver, and a kidney. Those transplants were due to complications from cystic fibrosis. Northwestern says redone lung transplants are one of the most complex procedures in medicine. Still to come on the Noon Report for Thursday, Fetterman's ultimatum, New York readies for assisted suicide, and more reaction to the data center ban. But first, here's Kevin with a first look at weather.
Smoke and haze from the Ontario wildfires will continue to be in our skies right through tomorrow. I'm Kevin Williams. We'll have forecast details coming up in 10.
All right, Kevin, see in 10 minutes. That smoke and haze has led to another air quality alert as the skies continue to look apocalyptic-like for some. Canadian wildfire smoke wafting our way. Steuben County Public Health Director Matthew Marmore tells WETM those with compromised immune systems need to limit their time outside.
Those sensitive populations include very young and very old, and anyone who has a disease like asthma or a respiratory issue that is currently going on.
If you can stay inside, it's probably best to stay inside. If you can limit your outdoor activities and spend less time outside, that's advised as well. If you can't help but be outside, I know we got a lot of hardworking people in the county that are outside working. Take frequent breaks.
Pete Buzzetti's the health director for Chemung County. Governor Hochul says over 100,000 N95-style masks are being made available to impacted counties. You can monitor the air quality by going to airnow.gov. That's airnow, all one word, .gov. President Trump taking aim at the governor for making New York the first in the country to ban large-scale AI data centers.
The president slamming the governor's move in a Truth Social post. He called for the state to change its policy immediately. Under the new first-in-the-nation law, Hochul will pause state environmental permits for up to a year to allow time to put together a framework to protect the environment and energy grid, as well as help New Yorkers' electrical bills. The Trump administration has pushed for more innovation in the U.S., with the president writing in his post that, quote, data centers are tremendous wins for the states and communities that are lucky enough to get them. In New York, I'm Liz Warner.
A new Quinnipiac poll shows Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro very much in the driver's seat. In the lead up to the November midterms, he maintains a double-digit advantage over Republican challenger Stacey Garrity. The survey has Shapiro up 53 to 40%. That is down slightly, however, from a similar poll taken earlier this year. A Pennsylvania man convicted of voting twice in the 2020 election has now learned his fate. Family Life's Brian Query reports.
32-year-old Matthew Leas of Bethlehem was sentenced to 3 years of probation, including 6 months of home confinement, after being convicted on federal election fraud charges. Prosecutors say Leas voted by mail in Bucks County after moving to Florida, where he also cast an in-person ballot in the 2020 presidential election. In addition to probation, he was ordered to pay over $60,000 in fines and charges. Brian Query, Family Life News.
A pro-life group in New York's taking action to strengthen the reporting regulations for assisted suicide. The practice becomes legal in the Empire State August 5th. New York Families Action wants the state health department to ensure that doctors are not abusing the Medical Aid in Dying Act. Next month, New York becomes just the 13th state to permit physician-assisted suicide. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman has no plans to leave the Democratic Party, but warns he would if Democrats turn their backs on the state of Israel.
If our party ever becomes, and just make it official, as the anti-Israel party, that's when I would leave.
Fetterman's comments come as more than 100 House Democrats voted yesterday to cut off aid to Israel. Even though that measure failed, it is a stark difference from just 2 years ago when less than 40 House Democrats voted for a similar bill. Former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum will be the keynote speaker at this year's March for Life in Harrisburg. The PA March for Life is the largest gathering of the year at the state Capitol. This year's rally is Monday, September 21st. It begins at 10 a.m. You can find out how to catch a bus ride for free to that event at pafamily.org. An effort's afoot to enact term limits in Onondaga County, New York. That proposal would limit the county executive and comptroller to no more than 3 4-year terms. County legislator Nicole Watts says the measure's now before the Board of Elections for consideration.
When it gets to the Board of Elections, there will be a next forthcoming opportunity for people not only to engage in public hearings, but then to make it to the ballot for their voice to be heard.
County Executive Ryan McMahon says the effort reeks of partisanship, and the priorities of the legislature, he says, seems more focused on power than people. Today is 716 Day in Buffalo, the unofficial holiday celebrated every July 16th and honors the 716 area code with community events and charitable activities. 716 Day is a day of major fundraising through the Give 716 campaign. It supports over 600 local charities. And as they say, if you give, please give generously. Sports news next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
All I can say, Bob, is look out if the defending champs have their backs against the wall. Good afternoon. I'm Randy Snavely. In World Cup action, England and Argentina were 0-0 at the half. And then England scored around 12 minutes into the second half and looked to be heading to the championship. But then Argentina took over and put on a clinic on how to pepper the opponent's goal. 2 of their shots hit the post. England's keeper Jordan Pickford made a couple of world-class saves to keep the 3 Lions ahead. But Argentina kept firing away, and England barely got the ball out of their end of the pitch. And finally, in the 85th minute, Enzo Fernandez got off a rocket from 20 yards out and found the back of the goal. That was the equalizer. And then the Argentines netted the game winner on a perfect cross from who else? Lionel Messi. And 2 minutes into stoppage time, they had the lead. Messi also assisted on the first goal. He now has 10 assists in World Cup knockout stage games. That is 6 more than any other player. And the 39-year-old has recorded a goal or an assist in 11 straight World Cup games. Even at the age of 39, he is still the best in the world. So after their 2-1 victory, Argentina will try to win the World Cup for the second straight time. They'll take on Spain. Only Italy and Brazil have won back-to-back titles before. And one other note about this championship matchup. It will be the first time the World Cup final will pit the reigning champs of Europe and South America against one another. The clash happens on Sunday. England and France will play in the third-place game on Saturday. That is a look at sports.
All right, what a match yesterday for sure. Thank you, Randy. Still to come on the Noon Report, President Trump's primetime speech. Is college worth the cost? And recovering from the earthquake. We'll take you to Venezuela after this.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. On Monday, a group of nearly 200 artificial intelligence researchers and more than a dozen Nobel laureates in economics issued a short but pointed warning. In a statement of less than 100 words entitled, "We Must Act Now, a Statement on AI's Transformation of the Economy," the group warned how the promising new technology could disrupt the economy and disenfranchise workers. The statement consisted of 3 points. Number 1, AI may become radically more powerful over the next 10 years. Number 2, this could drive an unprecedented transformation of our economy, larger than the Industrial Revolution, but unfolding over a vastly shorter time frame. It could bring risks, including large-scale job displacement, as well as opportunities such as major gains in living standards. Number 3, economists, policymakers, and technology leaders must act now to understand the economics of transformative AI and to build the incentives, guardrails, and institutions needed to steer AI in a direction that complements humans and benefits society. End quote. Among the notable signatories to the statement were economist Paul Krugman, executives from AI companies Anthropic and OpenAI, various tech investors, former government officials, and scholars from institutions like Stanford, Cambridge, Columbia, Harvard, and MIT. Of course, this group is right to be concerned about how AI will impact work. According to a report from December, of the over 1 million U.S. jobs that were cut in 2025, AI was quote-unquote responsible for over 50,000. And more job loss like that will, of course, create only additional incentives for politicians and states to feel like they need to intervene within the job market. As one of the statement's organizers put it, in what was both a grand understatement of reality and a gross overstatement of confidence, and I quote, "AI capabilities are advancing far faster than our understanding of the economic implications. We must act now to guide AI to complement humans rather than simply imitate them and to generate prosperity for the many, not just the few." End quote. To borrow a framework from T.S. Eliot, we will never be able to truly know what we should and should not do with a particularly powerful technology unless we first know what that technology is for. In his 1951 address to the faculty of the University of Chicago about the purpose of education, Eliot said this, quote, "If we see a new and mysterious machine, I think the first question is, what is the machine for? And afterward, we ask, how does it do it? In other words, purpose has to precede function. Christians who have been given an understanding of who we are and what we are for in Holy Scripture have to join this conversation sooner rather than later." And that's why on Thursday, August the 7th, the Colson Center will be hosting a conversation entitled Staying Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. It's the 8th annual Great Lakes Symposium on Christian Worldview. Joining me for this essential conversation will be Abdu Murray, author of the new book Fake ID, How AI and Identity Ideology Are Collapsing Reality, and speaker and former host of the Microsoft Research podcast, Gretchen Huizinga, a member of the Oxford Collaboration on Theology and Artificial Intelligence. We'll also be hearing that evening from eminent author and apologist John Lennox via video. So either join us in person at Bay Harbor, Michigan, or sign up to host the live stream. Churches and groups are welcome. Attendance is free, but registration is required because space is limited. Go to colsoncenter.org/livestream to register. That's colsoncenter.org/livestream.
All right, John, thank you kindly. Weather where you live, back in the saddle. Meteorologist Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Skies this afternoon will be hazy and smoky. High temperatures in the 80s. It'll remain rather hazy and smoky tonight and tomorrow. Low temperatures tonight in the 60s. High temperatures tomorrow in the 80s. Saturday, considerable cloudiness, a couple of showers and thunderstorms around with high temperatures mostly in the 80s.
All right, Kevin, thank you kindly. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price. Here's what's happening Thursday, July 16th. From Minnesota to Massachusetts, millions of Americans are covered by air quality alerts today. It's because of the smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Family Life's Dee Haley reports from Buffalo.
The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has extended an air quality health advisory for fine particulates until at least midnight tonight. The reduction in air quality is coming from wildfire smoke from Canada. According to the National Weather Service, southwest winds have shifted to a more northwesterly direction, bringing smoky conditions to the region. When pollution levels are elevated, the New York State Department of Health recommends limiting strenuous outdoor activity to reduce the risk of adverse health effects. People who may be especially sensitive to these conditions include the very young and those with pre-existing respiratory problems such as asthma. Dee Haley, Family Life News.
Thank you, Dee. President Trump delivering a rare primetime address to the nation tonight from the White House. It will focus on the 2020 election.
It doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country.
NBC's Gabe Gutierrez says the White House is remaining tight-lipped about the details of the speech.
The White House has notably sidestepped questions about the president's planned address tonight, which is scheduled to begin at 9 o'clock Eastern time. But with less than 4 months to go until the critical midterms, he's expected to put the issue of election security front and center.
The president does plan to reveal new intelligence tonight suggesting China had the ability to interfere in the 2020 election. American warplanes continue to attack targets near the Strait of Hormuz off the coast of Iran. ABC's James Longman.
U.S. aircraft fired at an oil tanker that attempted to violate the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports. CENTCOM says the tanker ignored multiple warnings not to make port at Karg Island. That's the Iranian oil terminal on the Persian Gulf. President Trump has once again threatened to blow up Iranian infrastructure. The White House might be keen to project strength, but Iran is showing no signs of backing down.
Fox's Mike Tobin says there's the war on the ground, in the air, and at sea, and there's also a propaganda war going on with Iran.
The propaganda ramps up on the streets of Tehran. One example of the propaganda, there's a mural of the late Senator Lindsey Graham with devil horns painted on his head, and there's another giant mural of President Trump in a coffin. President Trump was asked yesterday what he thought about these threats toward him. He says he doesn't spend much time thinking about them.
Iran did yesterday release an American woman held captive by the regime for nearly 2 years. The president called that a goodwill gesture. War Secretary Hegseth adding screenings for testosterone levels as part of a soldier's periodic health assessment.
Warfighters age 30 and older are going to be tested annually as part of their periodic health assessment. It's a health assessment that happens every year. We're just adding this test.
Secretary Hegseth announcing the screenings in a video message posted to X. He framed it as a way to keep troops on the leading edge of lethality. A new blood test may help predict if older adults are likely to develop Alzheimer's disease within the next 5 to 10 years. It is hoped this test could lead to earlier treatment. Right now, about 42% of adults over 55 are living with some form of dementia. That number is expected to double over the next 3 decades. A new Gallup poll shows more Americans are losing confidence in college. Less than 4 in 10 adults today have a great deal of confidence in higher education. A decade ago, it was nearly 6 in 10. Education activist Natalie Beisner says young adults are finding out they can earn just as much if they skip college and go right to the workforce.
The cost-benefit analysis is shifting because it doesn't guarantee you a good job anymore. So you have this massive debt. You're not guaranteed a good job, and the tuition just keeps skyrocketing. And I think Americans are wondering, what is actually the point? I think we're headed towards a day of reckoning with college campuses and universities where they have to catch up to our shifting opinion.
The cost of college was cited as the main reason why more Americans are losing confidence in higher education. And officials at Yellowstone National Park say that bison that tossed a 65-year-old 86-year-old grandfather 8 feet into the air will not be euthanized. Carl McDaniel was visiting a campground in Wyoming with his 13-year-old grandson. When the bison attacked, McDaniel suffered a broken femur. This is the Noon Report for Thursday on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm your host, Sarah Harnish. With me today, Thomas Ovington, the team lead for Samaritan's Purse's response in Venezuela. Samaritan's Purse on the ground after the largest earthquakes in a century struck Venezuela on June 24th. The death toll now well over 4,000, 17,000 people injured, thousands still missing, and Samaritan's Purse has set up this field hospital right at Ground Zero. You're there in that hospital right now. Tell me what's going on.
We were able to come in and set up this field hospital, Samaritan's Purse, in just over 48 hours. It's now fully functional. It's known as a Type 3 National Field Hospital, which means we have emergency rooms, we have intensive care, we even have 2 operating theaters. So we have doctors, nurses working 24 hours a day. We're also working with purifying water to give potable water for people that are in the area. We're working in shelters, setting up tents, and distributing hygiene kits and other needed non-food items.
One of the posts that I saw on Facebook on the Samaritan's Purse website is that some of these people coming in should have had care the day of the earthquake. They're in pretty bad shape. What are some of the things that you've seen?
Yes. So we're seeing a lot of fractures, a lot of contusions, a lot of large trauma. And like you said, we have people now more than 2 weeks after the earthquake that are coming in with broken legs, broken arms, and that have still received no treatment since the day of the earthquake or received insufficient treatment just because the scale of these earthquakes, the scale of the need is really just absolutely overwhelming to the health system here, as it would be, honestly, anywhere on Earth, because the scale of need here is just massive. There's a great amount of suffering of people, even now, over 2 weeks later, suffering from pain and the effects of injuries that happened the day of the earthquake.
What does that part of Venezuela look like? This is a very populated area.
Yes, it's a very densely populated area. So we're right between the coast, between the ocean and a mountain range that's right near to here. It's honestly a beautiful area, but geographically it's a very small footprint of land. So there's a lot of very densely populated areas, a lot of tall apartment buildings. I mean, 200, 300 apartments per building. And those are the buildings that we've seen just completely collapsed.
The numbers are staggering. The United Nations says 1.3 million people are in urgent need of aid. Do you feel that setting up a field hospital and helping 100 people a day is making a big difference there?
Yeah. You know, the mission of Samaritan's Purse is to share the love of Jesus Christ through our words and through our actions. And just as Jesus says in the parable about the sheep, and he's willing to leave the 99 and go after the one. And that's what we see as part of our mission as well. We're here to share the hope we have in Jesus Christ. And for that, we are willing to go after the one because there's an eternal hope that we have in Jesus Christ. And we're here to share that with the people. And so that's really, there's an eternal value, even going after the one.
What is the plan with the field hospital? How long can you stay? And do you leave anything behind to help Venezuela stand back up again? This is going to take a while to repair this level of damage.
Yes, definitely. So the field hospital that we've set up here, we would normally staff this field hospital ourselves for 60 to 90 days, depending on context. But the field hospital itself will stay here. Part of the way that Samaritan's Purse runs these responses is we come in immediately with our own staffing, staff the hospital, and then we'll start slowly bringing in local doctors and nurses here from Venezuela and training them on the tools and the equipment that we brought in. And then when we are ready to pull out, we will dedicate and leave this hospital here. And so the hospital will remain permanently where it is and switch to become under the administration of the local health system. And that, you know, in order to kind of support, as you said, the ongoing health needs that are going to continue. And there's other countries that Samaritan's Purse has set up field hospitals in previously that 2-3 years after we've pulled out, that field hospital is still functioning well under the administration of a local hospital.
How can people in the United States take part?
The number one thing is prayers. God is doing amazing, miraculous things in Venezuela through our work and through the local church as well. And the number one thing we need is prayers. The body of Christ unified in prayer behind this effort to address the suffering that we're seeing. And it's the most support that we could receive.
Is there a story on the ground in Venezuela since you've been there and been at the field hospital that has just shaken you?
For me personally, one of the stories as a pastor of a local church, actually, we've been working with, and this pastor lost his son and his grandson in the earthquake, and he himself was injured. And so he came in for treatment, but he said, I need to get back out and serve. I need to serve my flock. I need to serve the community because this is the mission that I have. Just to see his passion to serve and his passion to fulfill the calling that he's received, even in the midst of his own loss, it's just been, it's amazing.
Why do you do what you do? You go into the darkest, hardest places, Thomas. Why would you show up in Venezuela to serve the people there?
We've been called to be light and salt in this world and to reflect the light of the world, which is Jesus Christ. And in the deepest darkness is where the light shines the brightest. And God opens the doors and God enables us and gives us the resources we need. And we just respond in faith to those opportunities he opens. And it's a blessing. I mean, it's challenging on a personal level, but it's a blessing to really be in the midst of what God is doing.
Learn more at SamaritansPurse.org.
Thank you, Sarah. The name of the program, Faith Under Fire. It comes your way every Thursday during the Noon Report or online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and FamilyLife.org. And finally, at noon for our Thursday, it almost sounds like a prequel to Jaws. A 14-foot-long great white shark, believed to be the biggest ever tagged in the Atlantic, recently spotted off the coast of North Carolina. It appears to be headed northward toward Cape Cod.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, where have I seen that movie before? Watch out, here it comes, and that's our world. The world we live in, Thursday, the 16th of July. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.